As Vecna would say, it's time. What's going on, y'all? Elliot here with MovieFiles. Both excited and nervous. I am outside of the Alamo Draft House in the parking garage, about to head into the season 5 finale, the series finale of Stranger Things. It's been 10 years in the making. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. Admittedly, if you guys have been watching my videos, you know the season 5 journey has been a bumpy ride, but I'm hopeful that they will end this ride in a satisfying manner. We'll see in less than 30 minutes. But let's quick video, predictions, expectations. First off, as far as I'm seeing this in theaters. This is a first time for me seeing one of my favorite shows of all time in theaters. I am both excited for that experience, but also nervous that this is something that we're used to watching at home. So hopefully people don't take that home mindset and watching it in the theater and go crazy. Of course I don't anticipate people just to be sit there like they're at a funeral, but I hope people don't go crazy and disrupt the experience. But this is Alamo. They typically have good rules around like appreciating other people's experiences. So we're going to talk about that when we get back as far as my theatrical experience, which I'm, again, looking forward to experiencing for the first time. Predictions, I really do hope they stick to landing, man. Like, I've been seeing the theories the last few days that people think that the Duffer brothers have been, like, secretly writing themselves into this situation where we're the observers. Vecna's been tricking us all. It's all a part of a play. I hope that doesn't happen, but we're going to find out. Is there going to be any deaths? I don't know, man. I think there's going to be like some, Murrays of the world, Dr. K's of the world, a bunch of military, people that we don't care about, like that Akers guy. Main cast, I can see Elle being like the big death if they don't pull their punches. But I have a feeling that they're going to pull like she's not dead, like a Batman Dark Knight Rises situation when you think they're dead, but they're off in the 3 waterfalls. Her and Mike might be still in contact and Hopper. Other than that, I think they're going to kill Vecna, but Vecna is going to be, I don't want to say redeemed, but we're going to get a better understanding of how the mind flare has been controlling him since he was a little kid in the caves, and what's in the box is going to probably be the mind flare particles. Other wild twists and turns, I predict that Will has been somewhat influenced by Vecna, but not in the way that Vecna's controlling him. I just think their memories have been swapped out or kind of been entangled since Will went into his mind. I just want this to be good. I think it's going to be emotional. I think there's going to be a good emotional moment I think there's going to be like a 20-minute, 30-minute epilogue, and we'll see what comes with that. But I'm hopeful, man. Again, this is kind of my before I go into the theater reaction, and after I get done, I'm going to do like a quick, immediate reaction with no spoilers, and then we'll dive into spoilers after that. So wish me luck. I wish you all luck. Happy New Year. Hope you had a good holiday, and I will see you guys in 2 hours, and hopefully we'll have some good things to talk about. So I'm going to be honest when I get back, if it's good, if it's bad, if it's somewhere in between, but we'll find out. Like I said up top, it's time. Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is my initial spoiler reaction to seeing the finale of one of my favorite shows of all time in theaters, which we'll talk about that in this video, as well as the overall scope and scale, the reveals, what worked, what didn't work, and we'll get all into it. But before we do, if you haven't already, if you stuck around to this point, I appreciate you. Do all the YouTube stuff, like, share, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel today. Immediate reaction coming out of this, I am mostly satisfied. I thought for the most part, when you think about the journey we've been on with these characters, you think about the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, even within this particular season, I thought for the most part it was rocky getting up to this point, but I think they stuck the landing for most of this 2-hour experience. What do we start with? So first off, let me get to my theatrical experience. This is the first time I've ever seen a TV show in theaters. I know there's been, like, you can watch old shows or rent out a theater and watch shows, but I've never did that. This is my first time watching in real time a show that I'm currently watching that's on TV and seeing it in theaters. What an experience. Because there was so many worries. This is the old man in me, like, oh, people are going to be acting like they're at home, laughing and crying and being a disturbance. That didn't happen. There were some cheers, which were warranted in the scenes that people cheered, taking out the mind flare, taking out Vecna, you with the wrong family, all those moments. It was warranted. So audience was great, packed house. The audio, the visuals were good. I don't know, I should have asked someone. I never thought, like, okay, do they have a hard drive that they're playing this off of, or is it streaming directly from Netflix? Because I was like, if it's streaming, what if it's buffering? Because I've been to Alamo, I've been to critic screenings where they play like a Q&A after the movie, and sometimes those Q&As are like streaming in live, and they are 9 times out of 10 terrible. You can barely hear people, see people. That wasn't the case. I'm assuming they had like a physical copy. I could be wrong, but all I'll say is the theatrical experience was an A+. without going too much on a tangent, I would love to experience more shows in the future in theaters in real time while it's on TV. That was great. Netflix Warner Brothers deal, if that falls through, I would love to see more, TV in theaters if possible. All right, so now with that out of the way, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Again, full spoilers. We open the episode immediately, kicking things off from the last episode. We see the kids. First off, the plan's going through, our team going into the Upside Down with the crew, and the plan's going as planned. As, Hopper has Elle in the tank, and Kylie's off to the side. They're prepping to get into Vecna's mind. We have our team in the Upside Down climbing up the ladder. There's some moments there of John. We'll get to Jonathan saving Steve in a second, but everything's going to the plan until the army was, the military. Let me just say this now. Linda Hamilton, the army storyline, the plot line, very underwhelming. I know what they're there for. They're just there to cause chaos. They're not meant to be, now we can say that. They weren't meant to be anything other than that. I thought Linda Hamilton was going to be some relation to Brenner, something with more depth, but she's just an evil person that wanted to take the powers of Elle. Clean cut, as easy as that, which I guess is fine at the end of the day because it would have took away, I guess, from memorable moments. But I just wish there was more to them. They were just like Star Wars stormtroopers, right? They're just, easily to take out. But anyway, they get into the mix. They take Max, who goes into the mind of Vecna, which for a hot second, the online theory the last few days since the end of Volume 2 is that the Duffer brothers are going to pull a trick over us. And Vecna has not only been tricking the entire characters, but Vecna has been tricking us. That we have somehow been tricked. He's been writing the script of his own play that he wasn't able to go to when he was a kid. I thought that they were going that route because I'm like, oh my, is she not really woken up? Is she still in his mind? But no, it was part of the plan of bringing, obviously Max in with Callie and Elle. But for a second there, guys, I was like, oh shit, we're going there, but we didn't. Either way, they go into his mind. And this is another negative. I know the play is there to enjoy, but I thought they were going to merge the two worlds. Because I know some things about the play, haven't seen it, but I, Wikipedia, watched some videos, and I'm familiar with some of the main beats. There's a lot of nuance that I'm missing out of, but I thought they were going to really get into the nitty-gritty with Henry, knowing Joyce, knowing Hopper, knowing Steve, knowing all the parents. I thought we were going to really dive, and I know about Henry's relationship with a girl named Patty, who was related to Bob, who we know was in a relationship with Joyce in season 2. I thought we were going to really peel that onion back, but we didn't. I say all that to say they're in his mind, they're doing the play, they break into his mind, Elle pushes him against the wall, they get the kids. I will say now, there are some good moments with Callie. This is one of them when she's using her powers to manipulate Vecna because the kids can't see, or he can't see the kids, but the kids get to see who he really is. That was really smart. It was really, really smart. What wasn't smart is when they got Vecna and Callie is like, hello, brother. You guys, they know of each other, I'm assuming. I think Callie says she knew of him. I don't know how much he knows of her. I would assume he knows her too, but we never saw that on screen. So there's something there off screen, but hello, brother. Just stab the mother, just stab him, but he got away, vanishes. And I guess I want to rewatch it again, but all the minutia of where he went during those moments, and we're standing there, and I will say I got scared for Hopper when Vecna does escape, and of course at this point, I'm trying to remember everything. I'm literally just coming out of theater when our other crew is trying to go on the upside or go into the abyss. That's crashing down, but at that point, they already got into Vecna's mind. That was a little tense because I will say this to go back. I'm all over the place. Apologies. This is raw, fresh, in the moment. Steve almost dies yet again. And I'm glad that Jonathan saved him because in the way they cut it and they edit it, I'm like, dude, did they just kill Steve? But, Jonathan saved him, and I was hoping that Steve would have saved Jonathan at some point. But either way, Vecna escapes. And shout out to Nell Fisher, who I know a lot of people have been up and down about why are we focusing so much on Holly? Why so much screen time with Holly? If you're a Holly hater, which I'm not, I enjoyed Holly's progression, her development, especially in this episode. She was a boss, man. Just like her sister, who we'll talk about here in a second. She led those kids, man. When Max and Elle and all of them got out of the mine, she had to lead them into the caves. She was being very, on the money, being very much of a leader, being the hero like her brother wanted her to be. So I love those moments for her, especially when they're in the cave and she hits Vecna with the poker, which has been a running theme throughout the episode. She always stands still. She never takes action like her big sister and like her mom and even Mike at times. But she doesn't have her dad genes, which is good. Which, shout out to Ted. I guess he lived at the end. And Karen, why are you still with that bum? Anyway, shout out to Karen. So at this point, the plan is somewhat going awry. Vecna sneaks up on Jim, and I'm thinking, oh my, he about to kill Jim, y'all. But no, he's just playing with his mind. When he tapped into his memory and we saw Sarah, I'm like, that's vicious, Vecna. That's mean-hearted, you son of a bitch. But it was all part of the games, and he shoots the tank, and I'm like, did he just kill his daughter? Did he literally just kill his daughter? But it was all part of the mind games. He breaks her out of the tank, and their plan is going awry. At this point in the episode, we are looking for Vecna. Where is Vecna? The kids are in the cave, and Henry/Vecna goes into the cave. He puts away his trauma, even though it's holding him back, and the kids have to run away from him. And again, Jamie, it does suck that we didn't get that much with him from the humanity of him, because I was hoping to explore that a little bit more. But the villain side was really awesome. Him chasing them down, and Derek has a little moments when he's tired or whatnot, and Holly goes to save him. But all that stuff was working. They're running from him, and I'm fast forwarding a lot of stuff. At this point, the crew's in the abyss. The military has already caught Max. At this point, they're onto them. And again, I hate the military stuff, but they get to all the big points, and they capture Hopper and Matt, or say Hopper, Elle, and Callie. And I'm not gonna lie, when he caught Callie, when he left Callie there, I'm referring to Hopper, to just do whatever happened to her, I'm like, that is kind of messed up. But I kind of understand where he's coming from, because we don't really know if we can trust her or not. But anyway, the military comes into the Hawkins lab, and they have the thing that's disrupting Elle and Callie's powers. And Callie, again, she has some highs, she has some lows, and I know a lot of people don't like the character, and I'm not saying I love her, not saying I hate her. The character is what the character is, but she had an interesting moment. When they think they're going to kill Callie, the main douchebag guy is going to shoot her, and I thought Murray was going to sacrifice himself, but he threw the C4 into the helicopter, and obviously the bullet shoots her, and she takes the bullet. We'll talk about her reveal in a second, but that was an interesting moment there. Elle, crying over her daughter, or her sister, I should say, and obviously Hop feeling a little bad. He didn't know the secret plan at that point, and of course at this point he addresses her for sacrificing her life. But let's fast forward to the good stuff. I've been talking. Let's get to the highlight of this episode. The goddamn action was on point, especially in theaters. At this point in the episode, our crew is in the abyss. Elle lost her sister. Hopper still hasn't fully believed in Elle yet. She's like, I wish we could have saw that. It would have been cool seeing her hop in the air. But she's like, I could just hop to the abyss, this right there. And he's like, no, what if you fall? And if you find him, what's going to be next? She's like, you got to trust me. And I love the little montage. And their father-daughter relationship has really been a strong point, even through the rough patches of this season. But she goes, she says she needs to do this on her own. So we're left to assume that she's, climbing up like a Mario game up to the rocks. And during that time, we see our team coming up with a plan. Like, we're going to sneak up on Vecna, find him, and the shit goes down. So Vecna wakes up. At this point, again, the little details, I'm missing out a part. I don't know what rose Vecna up to get to the point where he's in the side of the mind flare, but the mind flare wakes up. We all assumed that was going to be the mind flare. I think some of us were maybe hoping the three-headed dragon was going to appear, but nonetheless, gigantic spider wakes up. The mind flare, big bad behind it. Also, I don't want to leave out the part that we do. Again, I kind of knew this from the play, but when Vecna, Henry was a boy, opened the case, the particles from the mind flare got into his head and told him to find him, and we get all that stuff and understand. Okay, that's the moment I'm missing. I like on dislike that we didn't get a lot of Henry's backstory, but I like that they just said that he's a villain, right? I thought they were going to redeem him. He was going to help them take out the mind flare. He said, no, I wanted to do that. I wanted to kill all those people. I wanted to help him because I guess he's just inherently evil. And again, that's why I wish we could explore that more. But he's like, no, I'm a villain. I'm a bad guy. So, like, okay, we got to kill you now. So he wakes up. He's inside the Mind Flayer. Our crew is running from the Mind Flayer. You know, Steve almost gets taken out, I think, at one point. Dustin gets saved by Lucas. And they're running away from Godzilla. They even call it Godzilla at this point. And they come up with the idea of getting the high points to take out the monster. And then Nancy, being a mother freaking badass, I'll be the bait, no questions asked. She's shooting at the monster. Meanwhile, you know, she's almost coming out of bullets. She gets cornered. Are they about to kill Nancy? No. Elle comes up, hits the mother freaker with a boulder, with a big ass rock, and gets his attention. Listen, bro. Nerd, I have no shame in my nerd tears. Like I said, Avengers, this was like not equivalent, but kind of equivalent to Captain America getting Mjolnir and obviously hitting Thanos. When she hit him with that boulder, that rock, and then you see her float in the air like a goddamn Dragon Ball Z Goku mode. Like, it was just so cool. I'm like, it's kind of the mechanics of it all. It's kind of goofy seeing these humans fighting this gigantic Godzilla, but I'm like, F it, man. Suspend your disbelief. Enjoy the ride while you're here. You're never going to see these characters again. And the score kicking in the theaters, I was levitating. Elle is floating in the air, opens his mouth with her powers, goes in there, fights Vecna. I will admit, the gymnastics, her flipping around like Daredevil, was a little corny to see with, you know, the string wire work that they're doing. Suspend disbelief. She's fighting him. They're going back and forth. He gets the advantage of her. She gets the advantage on him. At one point, she finally gets control because Will, the sorcerer, steps in, gets in his head. She has him up against the tooth of the Mind Flayer, and eventually, with the help of Will, they push him into it. And, you know, at this point, we save the kids. Nancy's okay. Everyone's okay. Even though, you know, at one point there was a little bit of nervousness because, like, will they crush Steve and Dustin? Will they, you know, everyone's fine. They're inside of the Mind Flayer at this point, and everyone's okay. And Vecna's coughing, right? He's coughing. And sorry if you guys can see this security behind me with their lights. Hope it's not too distracting because it's distracting me. Okay, they're gone. Vecna wakes up, and I mentioned Avengers Endgame, and I mentioned Go for the Head. Joyce, and they have the montage. Joyce takes her axe from her. Let me know in the comments now, was Joyce the right one to do what she did, to do the final blow? I think so. Elle had her moment. Will had his moment. I think it is right for Joyce to do that because, and again, I wish we could have got the backstory with them in high school to kind of give you a little bit more oomph of why she did that. She cuts his goddamn head off. And every time she strikes at the head, we see a flashback of, like, she says, "You fuck with the wrong family." I love that line. Great line. And every time she takes a strike at his head, we see the various different things that he's done over the years, right? So all the different characters, from Nancy to Barbara to Billy. Well, they didn't say Billy because Max wasn't there, but, you know, obviously Will being, lost in the woods, Mike, everyone, you know, Max, Lucas thinking about Max. Everyone has a moment where it's like, yeah, Vecna, you fucked with the wrong goddamn family. She chopped his goddamn head off. That was freaking awesome. So now the parts that I would love to know how you all felt about the epilogue. Obviously I wasn't on my phone. I felt like it was like a half an hour. Could have been shorter. Probably was shorter. Maybe 15, 20 minutes. But nonetheless, we are 18 months past what happened. You know, our main group of adults are, and when I'm referring to adults, the young adults, Robin, she's running the DJ, but she doesn't live in Hawkins anymore, and we'll get to their reunion in a second. But Steve is now a coach to the kids' baseball team, which Derek is on his team, and also Thomas. Oh, by the way, let me rewind for a second. Holly is a hero because the fact that she was helping those kids despite them jumping her last episode, props to her. Very mature of her, because I would have said F you all for what you did to me. But nonetheless, you know, we see Steve as a coach. Robin comes back for just a one little DJ thing. We have Nancy's off in New York doing like an internship, like the little short haircut. Jonathan's in New York too, or somewhere. Maybe LA, he's a filmmaker. Or he's in school making a student film. Cannibalism, capitalism. nonsense. Hopper is the chief again. By the way, the parents pop up. Lucas's parents, Dustin's parents, they finally show up. Where the hell have you all been? Max and Lucas are officially together, and they kiss and whatnot. I love their banter back and forth. And Max was looking. She's the little haircuts, like she can walk, she can talk. She's back to her old ways on the skateboard. And what else happened? Fuck! How can I forget this? How can I forget it? Elle sacrificed herself. Let me go back a little bit. I apologize, guys. Elle, they come out of the Upside Down. Everything's good. The military's dumbass stopped them. Kay stops them, but Elle gets away. And we see her inside the Upside Down, and they obviously have to destroy the Upside Down. And she says goodbye to everyone. She says goodbye to Matt or to Mike. They have a one-on-one. I'm not gonna lie, that moment didn't really get me because we haven't spent time with them this season. So like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking of season 1, 2, 3, Mike, but I'm not thinking of the more recent season because they haven't spent time together. So that moment missed me, if I'm being honest, emotionally. I was more emotionally connected to what they had versus what's going on currently. But she says goodbye to him, and we're assuming she's dead. Now going back to the present day, they're graduating. We get a little funny moment of, baby Dustin with his smile with his mom. We have Mike, he's not going to the graduation because he doesn't want to just move on. He has a nice little conversation with Hopper. That was nice. We know they have a long time beef. And they graduate. We see everyone in the stands, from Ted to Karen with her haircut, and Nancy with her haircut. Jonathan's got a new cut. Steve's fitting right in like a dad. And Lucas and Max, they all graduate, and it's a nice moment. And I didn't really, the speech from Dustin was fine. It didn't really bother me. It didn't really raha me, but it was, it was cute. It was nice. It was kind of an homage to Eddie, screw the system or whatnot, telling the principal to screw himself. And where do we go from there? Hopper and Joyce get engaged, which was nice. They're going to move to Montauk, I believe he said, which is supposed to be, I believe, the original title of the show before it was Stranger Things. So they're going to move together. They're going to get married. And we end on a note. Oh, the adults, the young adults, they're on top of the radio station. They're going to meet once a month. I know they want to do a spinoff. I know that they said it's going to be new characters, new story, new town. But I was like, are we going to do like a follow Nancy in New York solving the case, because I know she has a prequel or some book that's gonna focus on her. So they're split. They're going their own ways, but they're gonna meet up once a month in Philly at Robin's weird cousin. I don't know. Maybe that's the spinoff, Robin's weird cousin, and every now and then we'll have an appearance from our young adults popping up every now and then, if that is to be a spinoff. It's in Philly, in Night Shyamalan, some weird stuff. I don't know. Anyway, we end the episode with the way we started, which is the original minus Elle, but Max, Lucas, Mike, and Dustin playing D&D, and they, have a nice moment, and they talk about, is it ending a good way? And it was nice. I got emotional. I'm not gonna lie, when they were putting I don't know what you call them. I don't play D&D, but when they're putting their campaign away, and they're all getting emotional, and that got me in the feels. And then Mike tells them that he believes, I can't remember the character's name in the game, the maiden or something, that Elle was essentially the powerful one, that she lived. And I know that it's supposed to be open to interpretation. Like, is it real? Did he just make up the story? You don't do all that. You don't show us as an audience all that stuff for it to be fake. So Elle is alive. She's somewhere off in Asgard. I don't know, somewhere in Ireland or Iceland. I don't know where she is, with the 3 waterfalls in a small town. I doubt that they'll, because again, they want to do a spinoff. I doubt, they said it's not going to be any of the characters, but you could not make me not believe that in 10 to 15 years they're not going to revise this show with all the kids. They all lived, as we're going to see them as adults. So I think they're reserving, keeping these characters alive to do a big reunion in 15 or 10 years. But she is alive, off the grid, and only person that knows this or wants to believe this is Mike, and obviously he tells them that he believes she's alive, and again, she is. We end with them going up to eat lasagna, and then the new generation, led by Holly. I can't remember those kids' names. Josh, Mary. I don't know if Thomas bitch ass was there, but it was a couple of the kids that we've obviously followed with Holly's story, and she's leading the campaign, and Mike's watching them from the top of the stairs and cries because it reminds him of them. So, recap, breakdown, thoughts. As I kind of talked about, I thought the highs worked, especially in the theater. Again, the lows for me was I wish we could have got more of Vecna's backstory, Henry, to really kind of explore that duality and explore that, that he is a villain. But, what was it that wanted him? I know he said he's broken, the world's broken, but it's like, is that the Mind Flayer talking? Is that him talking? I wish there was more time to explore that. There were some moments that were a little, again, suspend disbelief, like they're fighting this gigantic thing with these human-made weaponry. It's like you're this big bad Mind Flayer that could be affected by getting stabbed and getting caught on fire. I mean, I know they built it that fire is obviously a weakness, but I just anyway, those are like little, you can nitpick anything, but for the most part it landed. I do wish, again, emotionally, the L goodbye sacrifice with Mike saying goodbye, that didn't really hit the nail in the coffin for me, like emotionally speaking. But everything else, for the most part, Callie's sacrifice, and again, they show Callie was the one that, and they showed that, I'm trying to think of the details again of that scene. She got shot, and we thought she died, but she had enough strength to hide or make the illusion that 11 was gone. But wouldn't I don't know if that really makes sense. Wouldn't she have died in the explosion? Because it's right on top of her, so that would have been the first thing that exploded. How would she have been able to hold that illusion for so long? Again, you can nitpick everything with any show, even the best ones. But I would say, I'm going to rewatch it when I get home tonight. But I got to say, I think I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with it. Again, the season was rough. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, but I do think it is, in totality, probably the weakest season. But it's weird to say that because it has some of the more, the moments that were meant to pop. Will being the sorcerer, obviously the moments I talked about in this episode. But man, there were some low points. Like, it dragged. There's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of tropey stuff that got a little tiresome. There is some interaction. Yeah, this is the weakest season. Like, there's some, again, Mike and Elle, their storyline should have been more prominent. Elle and Vecna's beef should have been more prominent. Like, we should have saw them have more screen time than what we saw them finally meeting in the finale. Yeah, there's little things like that do take away from this being, one of the great seasons. But this is the worst. I'm going to make a video ranking them, but I would say right now, my initial gut's telling me that this is the weakest season, followed by season 3, then 2, then 1 and 4 is my ranking. But I'll make a proper ranking video in the coming days. But I've been yapping. It's freezing in this car, and it's like 20 minutes long, this video. My gut's telling me that I'm feeling good. I don't have any glaring issues. Again, when I watch tonight, I'll probably think of some other things, and I'll make more videos in the coming days about stuff that worked and maybe other stuff that didn't work after I rewatch it. I'll do it won't be a first time watch, but I'll do reaction videos too to some of the bigger moments, and I'll put that out. But yeah, man, I think they stuck the landing for the most part, but it was a weak season, and it's one of those things where, like, does the finale make up for the weak stuff? Not really, but I'm in the moment. I got to see this in theaters. I've been with these characters for 10 years, and I know sometimes we live in such a cynical world that we want to tear things down, and not making excuses for the Duffers and the other writers and directors and actors. And, there were some rough spots in this season. But I don't think this is Game of Thrones season 8 as far as, like, dropping the ball. Like, I don't think it's nowhere near that, rushing things like that season did, doing crazy things with the characters. So I don't think this is anywhere near season 8 of Game of Thrones. I think this is his own experience, his own isolated situation. And I don't rank seasons, or I should say I don't give season score, but if I were to score this out of a 10 overall, maybe a 7.5 out of 10, and I would give the finale a 8 out of 10. Yeah, I feel confident with those numbers. What do numbers even really mean? But more positive than negative, more than anything. So I'm going to go home, rewatch it, think about it more, but I'm going to wrap this up, y'all. It's been 10 years. It's been a journey. I'm really intrigued to see what these actors, what the Duffer brothers do next, what this spinoff series is supposedly in the works. And hopefully we have something we can all come together with in the next few years and enjoy on the level of Stranger Things. But it is sad to see these characters go and these stories come to an end. It just reminds you of life. Not everything lasts forever. Let's not end on that sad note. Thank you all again. Thank you, Duffer Brothers. Thank you all the actors, writers, directors, everyone that put their heart and tears, blood and sweat and tears in these shows. Again, I know we could be fans and nitpick and complain about things, and there are some legit criticisms, but overall, thank you for 10 years of being in a strange world with some cool characters I think we can all relate to. From being kids to watching them grow up. That's part of life, man. So thank you, Stranger Things, for being a part of my life for the last 10 years. We'll end on that note. Thank you all for watching. More videos coming in the coming days, reactions, other thoughts and conversations to be had. But Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you all for the continued support. I'm very much excited for 2026, for more things to come for this channel and all the other places I am on social medias. I plan on making this thing really work and taking this some places that I'm excited to see where it goes. So thank you all for being a part of this journey, and hopefully you guys stick around. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.